Hey friends, welcome again to another session. Just thought of trying to have a session on Sunday to see if a lot of people join. Usually we have around 30 people who join us regularly. So I just wanted to try something different and let's see how many people join today. But otherwise, how has it been your weekend? I think if you've been having a good weekend, I think good. But what you should be trying is if you are really interested in becoming or taking up trading or investing as a good uh, way of increasing your money or increasing your wealth, then you should be spending weekends, to at least a few hours of the weekends, to go through your stocks, to go through some strategies, to read some books, and to develop your knowledge. Okay. So if you have that passion to get that extra returns, then obviously you need to put some extra effort. And I think weekend is a really good time to do that. Probably, when there's no one disturbing you, just take a few hours and see what you want to do in trading or investing, and see where you are right now, and try to aspire to do something that you really can increase, find some ways through which you can increase your money. And that's a long journey. It's not a very quick process. It's not a science. Basically, you just can't say this is the way I'll increase money. Everyone has their own risk appetite, and I think that's why a strategy will not suit everyone. The strategy that I use might not suit you. The strategy that you use might not suit someone in your family or someone of relatives. So everyone needs to find their risk appetite first. Just go in the markets and see what actually suits you, and then find your way there. Okay, otherwise, yeah, welcome to another session. Good evening, Rakesh. Purna has a question. We'll take that as usual. All the questions, I'll take them once I cover the stocks and cover the Nifty outlook. Hey Dinesh, hi Shankar, hi Prakash, hey Purna, hey Jake, hey Vilash. Yes, trading journal is really a good. Purna says that she's trying to make one, but that's a really good way to understand what you're doing and try to understand what is actually working for you. Are you comfortable with taking minor losses every now and then? Are you okay with taking losses once in a while? So depending on that, your strategy might change. Even though risk management is the same, but taking frequent losses might not be okay with everyone. And depending on your time, how much you have for yourself, how much time you can spend, you should know the strategy that you want to take up as well. Hey Brijesh, good evening. Hi Arun, hey Rohit, hey Varun. So today I sent out also the 17th newsletter edition. If you did go through it, do let me know in the comments. So there are more than 1700 people who have subscribed to the newsletter, but around 30% really read it. But I hope it's adding a lot of value, especially the trend following series which I've been writing. I've written 17 articles, and it's been a small effort every weekend for me, but this blog has really shaping up really well. I'm really happy for that. And I also put a lot of effort in the weekends to see where I want to be and what I want to do in terms of blog, in terms of videos, and a lot of other stuff. So I think weekends are the best way for you to really learn and understand markets if you have a full-time job. And it is possible to make decent money working in a full-time job. So if someone says that it's not possible, then that's just it's not possible for them probably, but for you I'm sure it's definitely possible. So if you did read my newsletter this week, do let me know in the comment section, and do let me know which stock you are invested or you're holding, just to probably get into a good healthy conversation after I cover some of the topics that I wanted to cover. So we spoke about Nifty and why it might still have a lot of steam left. It's trading a beautiful channel. We'll come to that shortly. Then I also covered the market breadth. The market breadth is a little worrying for me, to be honest. In fact, if you see, we've been having some massive rallies before that, but off late the market breadth is not really great. It's not really worrisome, but it's not high as I expected. So I think the majority of the strength in the market is in the large caps. I feel a lot of large caps are moving, especially the banking space. A lot of stocks in banking space are moving, and a lot of stocks in the entertainment business, like the cinema business, the aviation business, all this is moving up, whereas the stocks which have already moved up in the last couple of years, in the last 1.5 years, have started stagnating. So probably that's a sector rotation, no one knows, but continue to hold the stocks that you're holding, as I always say, with the trailing stop loss. Okay. So then I did cover 4 stocks, starting with ITC, Inox Leisure. These are such beautiful parallel channels, KRBL and MCX, right? So all 4 stocks are just trying to break out. So I'm preempting the breakout. They've not necessarily broken out probably except MCX. So KRBL is just about to break out. Even Inox is just about to break out, and IDC also. So a lot of potential ahead in these stocks. And if you did go through them, do let me know in the comment section and let me know which stocks you invested as well. And I did cover also another interesting pattern, which is ascending triangle pattern this week. Now, if you're a beginner, you just need to understand these patterns, and it's as simple as learning geometry when you're back in school, right? And it's that simple to identify these patterns. All you need is just the confidence to take the trade, and the confidence to accept that that trade might go on a loss. Now, that's the biggest problem that most of us have. Even though a lot of people can attempt and find patterns, it's not that easy to take a trade. Now, I've covered the ascending triangle pattern this week with a few examples. You might want to go through it. They are good continuation patterns and can give really good returns. Even if 40% of these trade ideas work out, you might be sitting on decent profits. Okay, so I hope the newsletter was useful. We are on the 17th, mostly reaching the 20th soon. Okay, so let's jump into the usual stuff that we do. So this week, Nifty actually has been having an amazing run since the breakout in August. This run, so we had some consolidation here, around 8 weeks of consolidation, but after that breakout, if you see, I'm just going to show you that. So after that breakout here, I'm sorry, I have a lot of stuff there. So after that breakout this week, we've been having a phenomenal run in Nifty. So if you were trading Nifty futures or Nifty options, you might have had some really good money, especially if you had some, strategies that have been automated, some algos which you're running, then you'd have made some decent money since August, last couple of months. At least you'd have come back, you'd have recovered some part of your drawdowns, and you'd have been sitting in decent profits, right? But this run has been phenomenal. Now, every weekend, what you need to do is go to your stocks and look at the weekly charts as well, right? So if you look at the weekly charts this week, we've again had a bullish candle, it's a green strong candle, and except I think this was also a red candle here, except these two red candles, I think, we've had strong green candles week after week, and that shows how strong the market is. Though many of the stocks might not be performing, I still feel that this, market has some time before it, starts dropping. Now, until then, just hold on to your stocks and try to do, ride the trend as much as possible. Okay, so let's look into this Nifty view and what's my outlook for tomorrow. Now, I also said the same thing in the newsletter. So we are now trending in a very strong parallel channel, and this channel might, the resistance is right around, this top level. Right around 18150 is where we have some resistance. So I see that Nifty might actually head towards 18150. It might take few days, few weeks, no one knows, but I feel that we might head there and then take a pause. Okay, but for now the trend has again been up clearly. So after this dip, we've just had a one-way move up, and this is just some short-term consolidation. But also on the 15-minute charts, there is a short-term trend line, support that Nifty might probably take support at, right? So if you see, the trend has already started kind of, that move here has already started stalling. It's going sideways, and this downtrend also kind of seems to have broken out. So probably Monday we might just correct some more time and take a couple of more days before we head higher again. So the resistance is very clear. We have a stiff resistance around 7950 levels or 7940 levels, and we might take probably a few more days before we break out that and head higher. But until this short-term trend line doesn't break, I think we are good, and the markets might continue to do well. Some of your stocks might continue to do well, and also if we fill this gap over here, after filling this gap, you see exactly around that gap the market reversed, and we're just stalling. So there's not much selling happening yet after that 130 session. So almost towards the end, a couple of hours, we've had some good signs that it's not a fast move down. Okay, so what should be a strategy? So any dips towards 19820 on Monday, any dips towards this level can be used to go long. Keep a stop exactly at 815 17 810 probably, just to keep some buffer, and then you can probably look for targets of 7940 again, right? So that should be only strategy. But if we break below 7820, then you can look to go short, and probably we are heading towards this gap over here, 7500 levels, right? But remember that level that I showed, right? So we still don't go aggressively short. This is not the time to go aggressively short. The markets are just going one way move up, right? So what can happen is, we might come all the way down towards 17700. Probably that's the first level of support in case we come down towards the channel support, right? Or even towards lows of 17600 levels. But it's a gap, remember there's a gap there, and that gap can probably fill and then be head higher. So that should be a strategy for Monday. Okay, and as I said, weekly charts look amazing, and nothing looks really worrisome yet. Okay, don't try to predict tops. It is just impossible to predict tops. It's futile as well, right? So you don't have to really do that. Just follow the trend. Now Nifty, Bank Nifty also has had a strong breakout right here. We had a strong breakout consolidation, and now again we're trying to cross that all-time high, which was around 13,708. Now probably I expect some momentum here. We kind of had one attempt last week, and again this week we're kind of crossing that level again. But the real momentum started when we kind of had a breakout from this sloping downward channel, and we kind of had a good weekly bar here, right? So as I always say, Bank Nifty is in a strong uptrend. We've had continuous higher highs here. You see every low also is high. So the trend is clearly strong. Just a few days of consolidation, and then again it continues going up, right? So the trend again is strong in Bank Nifty. So if you're trading Bank Nifty, you might want to look at going long rather than going short. I don't want to get into short-term charts because it's really volatile, and I just don't try to understand Bank Nifty. It's just not my type of trading style. Okay, so that's my outlook. Okay, so let's get into the trade with Trendline investor portfolio. So I'm sure there are a lot of you who have joined today for the first time, and you might be wondering what is this session or what is this part of the video. So the trade with Trendline investor portfolio is some real-time positional trades that I take based on my analysis, my thought process on how I choose stocks. So we are up almost 18% in just 2.5 months. We started back in July, around July 23rd, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, July 13th is when we started. We are almost 2.5 months now, and we are up 18%. Now a lot of people might have their own views on how the return is, but the objective here is not to show you returns and to not show you 100% returns, 200% returns. The objective here is to teach you how to select stocks, how to go about risk management and all that. Now the same kind of a portfolio I might handle in my personal portfolio different, you might handle different. Now it's completely up to you. How do you want to trade it? For example, LXCHEM might not pyramid, but a lot of you might have bought more around 496 levels, right? So that's completely up to you. But here the key message or the key lesson that I want to teach is risk management and how to identify stocks and how to pyramid, right? So that's the only objective. There's not been much changes after we bought CRAFTSMAN, ANURAS, and even TATALXSI. They're doing quite well. Nothing much to worry. Now we've had some good moves in CRAFTSMAN last week, so we're up 5%. TATALXSI is up 32%, and LXCHEM is still doing well around 60%. There's some sideways consolidation going on. That always happens in a stock after it's moved up a lot. So don't just be in a hurry and sell it off. You found a good stock, and that stock can do well going forward as well. So the portfolio is looking good. So I've updated some stop losses. Let's look at them quickly. So LXCHEM stop loss remains at 496.6. There's not much update there. 496, there's not much update there. TATALXSI stop loss have been moved. I moved it for 5400 now after looking at this move here, right? So if you look at the weekly charts, let's also look at LXCHEM weekly charts, right? So weekly chart here, we've had the sell-off last week, but this week that sell-off has stalled, right? So we kind of went reverse. The volumes have picked up again this week, so that's a sign, a good sign. So stop loss that we defined at 496, it missed just by 60 paisa, but I think that's a good stop loss. We'll continue to keep that stop loss and hold. Okay, TATALXSI had a really good closing last 2 weeks. We had 3 weeks of sideways movements, but then last 2 weeks we had really good moves. Right now, the reason why I moved the stop loss to 5400 is because we've had a strong move here, and we've had almost 3 days of consolidation, and on Friday there was an attempt to move above the previous highs of 5955, but it could not sustain. So I moved my stop loss right now to this swing low, which is around 5460. I've just kept it as a round number 5400. Right now, what we can also do is we can keep this 5450. Right, so I don't know why I kept 5400. Let's keep it 5450, which is close to that previous swing low. Right, so what I'm expecting here is probably a cup and handle breakout. Right, so that's or probably inverted head and shoulders. So this is left shoulder, head, and probably the right shoulder. It's not a perfect one. I don't really care about patterns. All I know is horizontal support resistances, but this should act as a strong support. This is also an ascending triangle that I covered today. It's a similar pattern, right? Beautiful ascending triangle pattern. There's a kind of a spike below here. Doesn't really matter. So let's keep our stop loss on 5450 and let's see where this goes in the coming weeks. Okay, so we're locking in here around 5% of overall portfolio. So overall capital, we have getting around 5%, which is decent. Okay, it's not really bad, not really good as well. So we'll probably give back around 2000 rupees, but that's totally fine. That's how we do trend following. Okay, so next one is ANURAS. ANURAS is again, it's kind of, you've seen that all the action has been within this week, right? So we've had, after the 9th of August, we had 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 weeks, and we made 2 attempts to go above, but we couldn't really cross above that levels, right? But the point to note here is, again, it's an ascending triangle pattern. We've had this horizontal boundary here, and we've having multiple touch points here, and the stock is also reversed on Friday with decent volumes compared to the previous days. So every time there's a green bar you see here, we've had decent volumes, right? The red days, yes, 1 or 2 days we've had bad volumes, but it's okay. And I see once we close above 770, then we'd see some really good moves in the stock going forward. Remember, this is also from the chemical space, if I'm not wrong, and this also can do well going forward. Also, this could probably be one last day. So the reason I don't like this trend line here is because of this lot of white space there. But if you keep it like this is also symmetrical triangle breakout, right, which can happen once we cross above 770. So as I always say, trend lines are very subjective on how we look at it. Some people might draw it like this, some people might keep it like this, like how it was initially, but it's completely up to you, right? So ANURAS again looking good. Let's see where this goes. CRAFTSMAN did give a good breakout last week Thursday, and we've had a good weekly candle, and this trend line has been acting really good, right? And if you see this weekly candle, finally we've had this move, but we couldn't close above 2100. Yeah, we've closed about 2100, which is also a good sign, right? So I'm expecting 2500 levels here. Let's see where this heads. The stop loss here has not been updated. In fact, the stop loss has been, for ANURAS, has been 730, and I think for this I moved to 1960, which was this low, this master candle low, which is a huge candle. I've kept that low as a stop loss, 1960 for CRAFTSMAN. Now VIP Industries is kind of trying to break out, I think, again. So we are having this nice downtrend. If you see this line from here, right? So this is a bearish trend line. Now also, you can look at this also as a horizontal resistance as well. So as I always say, it's very subjective. All you need to follow swing high, swing low. It can make your life much easier rather than following these trend lines. But we are just facing resistance around that level. But we did have a good close on Friday, and I'm expecting a good move next week. And again here, I've moved my stop to 480. I'm sorry. Yeah, stop loss to 480. We discussed many stocks. PVR is kind of doing a retest. We had a breakout from here, and I think that this is kind of retest here in this case. Probably we might head towards 1460 levels, but you never know, it might not come down that much. But if you go to the hourly charts, you'll see also there's 1480 here. So probably PVR is done, I think, and we might head higher, right? So this trend line also is acting as a nice support here, right? But if it comes towards 1460, it could be a good addition to your portfolio because it has given a very strong breakout and it has momentum on weekly charts, right? So if you go to the weekly charts, you'll see it's crossing CCA 100 here again, right? That's when I identified as momentum, and it has amazing volumes last week. It has one of the highest weeks of highest volumes in many weeks. So again, looking good. So McDowell has given a fantastic closing. We did recommend it just around 700 levels when it broke out from here, and I think it's doing really well. This is one of the stocks that you really want to look at. It can do very well going forward. It is a symmetrical triangle breakout, right, and can do well. Indigo again has broken out all-time highs from here. If you see, we did have a breakout from this level here, right? And it's again probably just correcting after the breakout. So if any levels towards 1980 if we get, it's a very good addition to your portfolio. These are some of the strongest stocks in the FNO space. Yeah. Now ITC, I did recommend in this week's newsletter. Again, momentum is really strong. The only thing here is that it has got rejected right from the bearish trend line there. So probably a few more days of correction, but the momentum is really strong. So this might, even if you get any dips here towards 220 or 220 back to probably even 217, you must add it to your portfolio, especially from an investment perspective for the next 3 to 5 years. You can do really well going forward. But it depends on your patience. We know ITC how it has been, but I think that sideways movement is now over. Momentum is clearly picked up in this one. Okay, network 18 has not been really acting according to my expectations. The only good thing is the volumes last 2 weeks, and all I'm holding this in my portfolio as well. I'm just waiting for a good breakout here, and once we cross above 57, 58 levels, then we can see some really quick moves towards 100 levels, probably in a few months as well. Okay, the other stock I covered today in the newsletter was Inox Leisure. This is kind of an inverted head and shoulders breakout. Again, momentum, CCI is crossing 100. Amazing volumes, can do well going forward. Okay, Motilal Oswal is another stock which I'm holding. Here, if you see, we've had this breakout last week here. So with one of the highest volumes in recent days. And I think this can also head higher going forward. Okay, Canfin Homes has been rejected from the all-time highs. So if you see the previous all-time is 666, and here it's almost 690, but we didn't get a good weekly close. But probably I think this also has strong momentum and can head higher. Okay, so Home First, we spoke about Home First and how this is a symmetrical triangle, and we spoke about exactly on this day and how it got reversed, how it reversed from here. Again, a very good IPO stock. It's forming a nice base. It's just taking some time, but I think this can also give good returns going forward. Okay, also I think retest of the symmetrical triangle is done on Friday. Let's see where this heads. Okay, Venkys has come out of this trend line. I just need a closing over 3050 probably, and then this can also head higher. Okay, just consolidating, but if you see momentum is the CCI indicator is kind of going up, right? So probably one more green day and this could cross 100. That will mean momentum is good, and it's a very the small stop loss is just 2800. It's just 180 points. It's a good low risk setup as well. We spoke about Page Industries on Thursday, and it has given a good breakout. Astral, again, we spoke about this, just facing resistance there. It also can give a good move. PL has given a breakout last week. It did give a breakout on Thursday, right? And Friday just consolidating. It's coming out of a very tight contraction, almost 1 month contraction, and this also can do well going forward from in the FNO space. Okay, Jubilant Food is facing resistance there. This also is kind of consolidating in a rectangle pattern, right? A very short-term rectangle pattern, but a breakout from here also can do well. Another pullback setup is Bata India, right? We've had this trend line. We discussed this, and it's kind of retesting that trend line. This could be a good trade for the October series. Your stop loss is 1750. Now, all these setups I'm talking about are positional trades. They're not intraday trades. They all should be looked at from a few weeks perspective. So even if you're going in FNO space, you want to hold them for some time before they give good returns, but keep strict stop loss. In this case, it's 1715, or if you're a little aggressive, even 1740 can be a good stop loss. Okay, next is Britannia. Britannia, I covered this in one of the newsletters. I've been tracking this since then. It's just going sideways. Again, I think the consolidation here is done. Again, a good trade for September series, either a breakout or a breakdown, whatever it can be. But I think the first attempt to move high came on Friday. We kind of tried to cross that. It didn't cross. That's the first sign of buyers probably. And this also can head higher from here. Okay. Few more stocks. Dabur from the FMCG looks good. It has, it did break out from here. It's just consolidating around that highs. Just matter of time before it heads higher. And the last one is Apollo Hospital. So this one is again a very low risk setup to go long. You can keep your stop around 4646, but if it breaks 4646, then probably it's going to head towards 4200. So from both short and long perspective, this can look good. The only problem here is this good red candle over here, so that's really worrying here. And if you see, we've had some sell off on the top, and I think this also can do well going. So FNO stocks, really I don't go through CCA 100 or whatever it is. I just go through all the stocks and I see trend lines and patterns. So my mid cap and small cap stocks, mostly I use the the CCI, but not for FNO stocks. Okay, FNO stocks, if you want a good trade, you need to track all of them and then take a trade. Okay, so yeah, these are stocks I want to discuss. If you have any doubts on these, we can take a look at them. Let me know in the comment section, and let's jump into questions for today. Okay. Okay, so let's look at questions. So Puna is asking, what should be the pyramid strategy when we gradually increase the portfolio size from 1 lakh to, let's say, 5 lakhs? 5%, 2.5%, 2 is applied to the increasing PF or base PF. Yeah, so when you pyramid, you start off, usually from investing perspective, you're pyramiding, start off with 2.5% of allocation of the plan allocation, right? For example, let's say you have a stock which is at 100, your stop loss is at 90, so that's 10 rupees. Now you have, let's say, capital of 1 lakh to start with, right? So on a 1 lakh, you want to risk 1% of your capital, which is, if you don't understand this, go back, rewind the video and watch it again, you might understand. So on a 1 lakh capital, 1% risk is 1000. So 1000 divided by 10 is you get 100 stocks of that stock, right? Now you first add that, and next you add another 2.5% of portfolio. And let's say now your next month you got some additional money. Now your portfolio size increases to 2 lakhs. Now you have to plan everything based on a new capital amount. Let the old stocks be as it is, but your new allocations to new stocks will have to start with the new capital, but the risk percentage and the portfolio allocation percentage will all remain the same. So 5%, 2.5%, 2.5% remains the same. Your 1% remains the same. Probably if you want to risk more, 2% can be your risk per stock, but you remember your portfolio heat should not be around more than 10% for investment portfolio. You can go to probably 15% from investment perspective, but try to not go beyond that. Okay, so that's how I do it. Remember, the money does not really matter. It's always a percentage. You go from 1 lakh to 1 crore, still you would always risk 1% or 2% of portfolio. Still, you would not go below 2.5% allocation. Try to at least allocate 2.5% when you begin, or 5% if you begin. That's really well, and then add 2.5% to that outperforming stock, right? And one other thing is, when your capital grows, you're obviously going to see more losses than you usually see. So your mind is not really accustomed to looking at that losses. So what you need to probably do is, increase that capital in a very slow manner. Don't just overnight go from 1 to 5 lakhs. That would really impact your, mindset, because you were seeing 1,000 rupees loss in one stock. Now you'll see 5,000 rupees in one stock. That's really not good. And that's when people start panicking, and then you start, because your mind is used to looking at some amount of losses and some amount of profits. Suddenly you see big profits and big losses, but still as a percentage it still remain the same. So never go increase your money immediately, like just over a period of time. Don't go from 1 lakh to 5 lakhs. Go from 1 to 2, then after a few months go from 2 to 4 probably, then go from 4 to 8, like that, right? But never jump directly, or go to 3 to 4, 4 to 5, however you want, however you are comfortable with. Okay, so that's how I would do it. Okay, let's look at other questions. Yeah, do have a trading journal, that really helps. Okay, so Brijesh says, good evening. Hey, I hope you're liking the newsletter. Okay, Parvesh is asking me on Kajaria ceramic. Let's look at that. Yeah, it has given a very good closing. I'm just going to the long-term charts just to see where it is. Yeah, this is in a beautiful long-term parallel channel, and I think this can do well going forward. You can hold it from an investment perspective. I think this is in the tiling space and all that, and it has a really good brand name, I think. So from fundamental perspective, it's a very good company, and it is doing well. It gave a cup and handle breakout here, and is just going higher, right? Few weeks of consolidation, and now it is again breaking out. So it does look very good. Your stop loss now, even for investment portfolio, should be now around 1100 or 1100. If you're a little conservative, then go for 930, which is here. But otherwise, it is a very good trade to hold on to. Okay, it does look really good. Abhilash, a lot of stocks, Abhilash. I'll probably take 2 and come back later if I have time. Lupin, Kirloskar Engines, let's take these 2, and then we can come back to the other stocks later. Okay, because we have a lot of other questions. Someone posts so many questions, so many stocks, I can't really give a view on all of them. Lupin is in a very strong downtrend, right? So it did try to break out, and it is in a very strong downtrend. So that really worries, should put a lot of investors in worry. But I think we are trying to find some support around this level here, right? So if you see, here, this is what I do, right? So I first check in the log chart. I see a very strong support, and I switch to linear chart. Then I see what is happening here. Now again, this week it's trying to, it has not closed below. It's formed a doji. This week it's trying to take support around that level, around the trendline support. You might also want probably do this, right? So it is, some might say it is kind of coming down onto the trend line. I totally agree. But for this to work, I think unless it doesn't go below 858, I think if you want to plan to invest now, then I'll probably wait. If you want a fresh investment, then just do it only above 995 or 1000 levels. But if you're already holding, then just wait until if 850 doesn't break, it's totally fine, right? But there is some massive support and resistances here. That could be a good zone, right? So this zone is a good support zone, right? So you might want to just wait for a few more weeks to see what happens in this stock. But it's from my perspective, it is really bearish. It has not formed a really good green candle after the massive red candles. You need some really green candles like this to have some some buying coming back in. So right now the selling pressure is clearly there, but yeah, it does look really bad. Let's see how it closes this week and probably this month. Okay, next one is Kirloskar Engine. I think this is one of the good stocks. I think in the Kirloskar group. It had a really good breakout here, and it's just probably consolidating for some time on the weekly charts. On daily charts, it's in a strong downtrend again. On a daily chart, if I were to be holding this, I would probably have got out of this here, around 250. If I'm doing a positional trade, I'd have got out to 250 odd levels. But for now, yeah, it is in a strong downtrend. It needs to make higher high lows again. So it's right now forming lower high, lower lows, which is a clear signal of a downtrend. If it needs to go back again up, it needs to, probably break out from this level. And only then you will see some, good moves up. So if you're taking fresh positions, kind of go long only above 220 levels. But right now it's just doing a rectangle consolidation, and it might break down because it looks like a continuation breakdown, and it might go lower as well. So no one knows. So for now, if you're holding, also keep a stop around 200 levels, and let's see what it does from there. Okay, but from a trend line perspective, probably it is consolidating, right? So from a trend line perspective, the uptrend is still intact. It just probably might touch here and then probably go higher as well, right? So it does look dicey, but for now, if you want to go long only about 220 with a stop around 200 levels. And if you're already holding, keep a stop around 200 or a break of this trend line, and then probably you might want to exit your positional trading. From investing perspective, I'd just give it some more time to see what it's really doing, right? So because this was a major consolidation weekly time frame, now it is just went one step high. This could be consolidation, probably it can hit higher as well, right? So it depends. That's why I always say it depends on what your perspective is. But whatever it is, from a weekly perspective, if it goes below 200 levels, then you need to probably be cautious and probably exit as well. Okay, so let's look at few more. Also, is there a strategy on dividing the PF between small cap, mid cap, large cap, or sector based, or we just go with weekly CC indicator? Could you also share insights on sector based momentum in your live? So I don't really have a strategy on small cap, mid cap, large cap. If you're going into stocks, I go full on. It doesn't matter if it's small cap stock, mid cap stock, or large cap stock. I mostly focus on small cap and mid cap in my core portfolio. But if you really want to do, focus on large caps, then probably you can also go there. It's completely up to you. I don't really, do a sector allocation or something like that. If there is momentum, I just go into the stock, And I always use CCI, as I said, indicator for cash investing. I don't use anything else apart from that. Now, sector momentum also, you can use the same CCI indicator, right? So, for example, let's look at auto, right? Now, auto for the first time, here's when the last time in 2018 there was CC was above 100, then it dipped below 100, and we also had a breakdown on weekly charts. If you see, we had a clear breakdown, inverted head and shoulders, a head and shoulders breakdown here, right? And we had a breakdown here and just kept going down, and CC never came above 100, right? The first time CC came above 100 was back here when we crossed here, right? So if you see in this week, in the 14th September 20 week, is when we crossed CC above 100, and then we had a breakout here, and then since then we've been having strong momentum, and this is also an inverted head and shoulders breakout, right? This left shoulder, head, a very small right shoulder, not a perfect one, but I'd prefer to have a deeper one, but this could also be a cup and handle, right? So then we've been having strong momentum. Now until CCA doesn't go below minus 100, it can always possibly bounce back, but moment CCA goes below minus 100, right, you see some sideways consolidation happening, right? CCA goes here, if you see here, CCA goes below minus 100, and then it just goes on sideways consolidation, and then again comes above 100 here this week, and then you have again a breakout here, right? So that's how you look at. So momentum also, CCA also has to go above 100 on the weekly, and also you need a breakdown, a breakout. Only then you confirm that momentum is in place. Now in auto right now, if I were looking at auto, right, now if you go to daily chart, you will see that this is forming lower high, lower lows, but here's the first attempt where it is forming a new higher high, right? So this is the first attempt where it's forming a new higher high, and if you see on the daily charts, it's again coming back into momentum after almost 2-3 months, right? It's coming back into momentum and it's forming a new higher high. So this could probably be a inverted head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, and a right shoulder, and this is could probably be a breakout this week, and now momentum will follow up in the daily charts. Now if you see here in the weekly charts, CCA never went below minus 100, right, which shows that the bearishness was there, but it was not so strong, right? Now a strong bearish momentum would be something like this. It goes below 100 and it just consolidates a few more weeks, and it just keeps breaking down again and down, and then it takes almost, after 2018, right, it almost took 2 years before momentum came back. That's why I always say don't invest in stocks where CCI is below minus 100. Okay, so that's how I find sector momentum, and you can go through the charts, go through all the sector charts, take CNX IT, take CNX FMCG, take all kinds of, and you will always see that CCI 100 is the first point. For example, here right? In the week of 13 July 20, we had CCA crossing 100, and then we also had a kind of a breakout, right? So we had a breakout this week, and then since then it has been in a very strong momentum IT, right? So that's how you identify breakouts and momentum in sectoral indices as well. Okay. Stormcatcher, nice name. So Praj Industries and Happiest Minds. So both are consolidating. There's not much happening there. From a weekly perspective, I think the stock is kind of broken down from here. Also got rejected from this extended trend line. Right now, this is a very key level that I was watching in Praj Industries 318. It did have a breakdown, but it did recover. So the momentum is still there. I don't say that the momentum is completely lost, but I think the real momentum would again come back only when we cross this level. So it's a perfect rectangle consolidation. It might take a few more weeks, a few more days, a few more years, who knows. But I think the real momentum will come when it crosses 400 levels or 397, 398 levels, right? So it's just going sideways, needs some more time. If you're a positional trader, you need to wait for the breakout and then enter. Don't enter right away. Okay. So Happiest Minds is again going sideways. I feel that this might also come and test this trend line, right? So there's still some time, I think, before it comes and breaks out. And also the IT space is looking good, but the stock has run up a lot. Maybe that's why it's consolidating. I think it might take some more time before it heads higher, right? Every time it tries to go up, there is selling pressure. There is selling pressure everywhere. Right? You see all the spikes there. That's all selling pressure. So people are booking profits at the moment, and I think this might take some more time before it breaks out again. Right, but again, as you saw there, here also we have a kind of rectangle consolidation, right? And all the activities happening within this week. Within the week of 12th July, every activity is within that. So until 1290 is not taken out, I don't see a real problem. Hold the stock. It's a very strong stock, and it might also head higher from here, right? So that's my view. Jake is saying smart link, please. Let's look at smart link. Yeah, I don't really like these stocks, right? So this has been in a very strong consolidation since 2015, right? It's just facing resistance around there. There's no liquidity. It's a very small cap stock. I don't really bet on small cap themes. I think it needs to cross above that. It's facing rejection every time it goes around that. I think only above, if you have weekly close above 120, 130 levels, then probably the momentum. Until then, there's no momentum here. So it needs some more time maybe. Vijay is asking how to deal with stop loss getting hunted situation, stock makes high again. There is no way. You need to first see if your stop loss has a proper logic, right? Always try to keep swing high, swing low, and always there are cases when stock might hit stop loss and go higher. Just ignore them and move on. Or if you're really having FOMO, then again buy it again, right? There's nothing much you can do. Just see if your stop loss logic is right for your stop loss. If you're having swing high, swing low, and if that's right, then you can't do anything. Just leave it. Okay, hey Suhas. Arun is asking view on Tejas networks. Yeah, again Tejas network is just it's facing resistance around all-time high. Probably some more time before it heads higher. Again, a circuit stock. Be careful here. I think it is forming a cup and handle. I think it is also having good momentum. It might break out soon. It might go ahead higher. Also if you see here, nice trend line reversal there. Nice move from here. Keep your stop loss here, around 370 or 380. Right? In stocks like this, you have to trade your stop loss really aggressively. Don't wait to give up, because the stock can literally come down the same way it's going up. So keep your stop loss 380 and continue to hold. It might head higher as well. Okay, Indus Tower. I think it's reversing very strongly. It did have an amazing breakout last week, right? So this is a zone that you're watching out, and we've had an amazing closing. I think this can go much higher from here. I think the entire telecom space is doing well, and this has probably made a double bottom here, and we are heading higher. Looking good. Your stop loss here would be around, you can keep 260. If you're an investor, probably keep around 213 as well. It's too deep, I know, but you will have a consolidation soon. And if you're a positional trader, it's not right time to enter. Probably wait for a consolidation, then enter. But if you're already holding 260, should be a stop loss. Okay. So I was asking Dwarkesh and Triveni both are trading range from weekly inside bars. The trade possible should wait for proper base. Let's look at both Dwarkesh. Yeah, it's looking good. It has not, it is taking support around there. Probably some more time. That's the trend line there. and this is the downward trend. So I think it's breaking out this week, right? So you can go in. I think it's trying to break out, but the real momentum, if you're really conservative, then I think this is a really good setup to trade. Go long above 74 levels. Go long above that with a stop around 66. Right, it can be a really good trade setup. It's an ascending triangle breakout probably, which is coming. Just go long above 74. It can do well. Okay, Triveni. I think the same setup here, right? It's exactly the same setup. All you need to do is wait above this point, and keep a stop around this point. Now these are really good setups, very low risk setups, and can really reward well. And the moves can be very fast. Even you can do it for swing trades as well. So buy above 185 here, now above 183 levels also is fine, and just hold it, and it might really give returns. So these are stocks which are not showing any signs of downtrend, right? So they are still forming lower, higher lows, and they're just going sideways instead of going down. So Binay is asking you Venus remedies and Gujarat alkalis. Venus, yeah, again it's just consolidating here, right? So now if you want to place a buy stop over 475, with a stop around 450, this is a really strong, very low risk setup. But if you're a little conservative, then go buy this only above 515, right, or 520 levels, right? So that level there. Okay, all good setups, guys. So good findings. I hope you're trading them. Gujarat alkali looks really good. It has finally given us a very strong breakout after some nice consolidation. I did exit this stock around 450 levels here, when the swing line broke out, but I did not enter this again because I had other setups. But this does look really good. It has taken out the previous highs. It's going up really fast. It can do much well going forward. Right now, this is the difference between short-term trading and investing, right? So I am doing a positional trading in my portfolio, and that's why I exited here. But if you're an investor, you shouldn't have exited this. Probably you should have held on to this with weekly stop loss around 396, and now you should have trailed stop loss to 424. Now here also my stop loss hit and it went higher, but I don't care because there are so many stocks to trade. There are so many other opportunities in this time frame. I made probably much more money than this stock was just going sideways. So it all depends on how you want to trade. You should get away from that idea that a stop loss hit your stock. Sorry, your stop loss was hit and then stock went higher. It's totally fine. Just ignore it, right? You can't really do anything, right? But this stock has having really good momentum. You can probably enter now, and you can have a stop loss as 460 as a stop loss. Okay. Hey Deepak. Suhas, I think already answered 2 questions. I'll come back to you sometime back. Vinay also have answered 2 questions. I'll come back to you later again. Deepak Peswani, yes, Gujarat alkali has given a breakout. Shilpa, view on SBI cards. Yeah, SBI cards is probably just coming to touch the trend line, right? So if you see, I've already drawn this trend line here. It's again probably coming here. So towards for 960, if you get, you can really add the stock 960 around. But I don't see much happening here, right? It has a very strong. It's just going sideways and sideways. Yeah, it's not really good. But it's forming a nice consolidation. So if you really want to enter the stock, enter above that level around 1130, can do really well going forward above 1130. Otherwise, you add now and you need to have a lot of patience because the stock can go sideways for some time before it heads higher. Okay, that's my view. Utkarsh is asking, if your stock opens gapped on 5% below stop loss, do we book the loss at the time instantly or wait until day's end? You book the stop loss. Okay, and also I've told this multiple times, it depends on how much portfolio that stock is having. For example, if the stock is forming 20% of your portfolio, then you should immediately book your stop loss because you don't know whether it'll go down 20% down as well, right? There are many stocks which go, especially F&O stocks, go down 20%, 30% down, right? So you don't want to get stuck. You want to protect your money, and that's always the first thing in markets. Okay, so just get out. As simple as that. But if you have a very small holding, like 5% of your overall portfolio, then you can hold. Okay. Equitas holdings also, let's check. Just going sideways. So again, it's close to the trend line, right? It's close to the trend line. It's reversed on Friday. It can do well going forward. It's a very small stop loss. Just keep a stop loss around 108 level. But it's a very good setup, right? It can probably hit circuits like this again. Now if you see the same kind of reversal happened here, you see this doji here, the same is happening now. So very small risk setup. So if you're aggressive, you can keep a stop at 116 also, just a 2% stop. But if you're a little conservative, then keep a stop at 108 and expect, you know, all-time highs. Sorry, expect 140 levels again, right? Not all-time highs, I'm sorry for that. And also it will be a long-term reversal, right? So this is a bearish trend line which has been there since 2016. It will be a nice breakout from that level. Okay, so that's my view. Marathon exchange, Marathon Amarjit is asking. It looks good. I think it's forming a nice base. Reality stock, it has found probably a double bottom here, right? And it's forming a nice setup. It is a very good setup. In fact, it can head towards 150 easily in the coming days. And it is a circuit. Probably it is at circuit. So I'm not sure if you'll get this on Monday, but if you get it around even 105, 106 levels, then it's a really good buy. Okay, so that's my view. Next one is Naresh Singh was scanning for low risk setups and found Triveni Engineering and Shakti Pumps are looking good. Can you please review them? Yes, Triveni Engineering, I already checked it. Let's look at Shakti Pumps, Naresh. Now, many people might ask how to check for low risk setups. You can use CCA 100 crossing above minus 100, right? CCA 100 crossing above minus 100. So it is a good low risk reversal setup. It is a good find, Naresh. It is probably just doing a trend line reversal here. You know, not a perfect one, but it is a good setup. It's forming probably forming a rectangle, not a rectangle, but a ascending triangle pattern here, right? So this is probably an ascending triangle pattern. You know, if you're conservative, then buy above 770, can probably head again to all-time highs, but a good setup again in Shakti Pumps. Okay, but remember, if you're a positional trader, remember we got out of the stock at 740 levels. We exited around 750 levels, right? So if you see, we exited around the 27th of July, and that was a good exit for a positional trader because you want to move on to other stocks, right? So always follow your stop loss. You never know whether the stock will go down or not, and that will always help you, you know, keep your risk in check as well. So, but from investment perspective, I think it's a good time to add if you want, or from a positional trader perspective also, it's a good time to add the stock. It can head higher as well. Okay. Okay. So, what's my view on Gujarat Gas? Let's look at it. I think this is also in a strong downtrend. You know, it might probably head towards 570 levels. I would not add this. This bearish trend line needs to be taken out. It needs to form higher lows again. It's not a good time to add right now. Probably wait for levels of 570 if it comes towards that point. Okay. So until then, please have some patience. Don't jump into buying that stock. Okay. Many stocks have broken swing lows, Prakash. In fact, I'm not holding a single stock from March 20 lows. Everything has broken swing lows, and I moved on to many other stocks, right? So it's a more of, you know, churning the portfolio, and yeah. Vallabh is saying Galaxy broker retesting looks good to enter here with stop loss. Yes, Galaxy is an amazing stock. It had really good moves of late. It is just retesting around that zone. You're right, really right. It's just retest. Probably, you know, never know. That's why I keep a stop loss around you know, 30 you know, 30. To be safe, I'll keep around 2866, but if you're a little aggressive, you can keep around 3100, right? So 310 is this low, right? So if you're a little aggressive, you can keep here as well, right? Or if you're conservative, add above 3445 and then keep a stop around this low, 3246. Okay, you can do it however you want. Okay, GMR Infra, Jake Thomas is asking, let's look at it. It looks good. It's simple. The rules are simple. You keep seeing these high lows, you keep holding it, right? From investment perspective. But if you were a short-term trader, personal trader, then you would have probably got out at this point here, right? And then probably entered again around this point, right? So if you're a position trader, you need to have the guts to enter the stock again in case you want to. If you don't want to enter, it's totally fine. But at least on this breakout here, you could have probably entered if you're a position trader. If you're an investor, just go to weekly charts, you know, just keep trailing your stop loss. Your stop loss would have been here before. Now your stop loss would move here, right? Now remember, the deeper the stop loss, the more higher the returns, but also you give back a lot of profits, but also you make more money, but you need to have a lot of patience. You need to understand setups really well, right? So this did a perfect retest and it's going higher again. Okay, so looks good. Indico Remedies, Kumbaragiri is asking, let's check. Just going sideways. There's nothing much happening. It probably might reverse this week, you know, next week, no one knows. As I always say, check on both. It's probably reversing from the trend line on the linear scale. it might probably need some more time before it really breaks. So probably, one a week, 1 or 2 weeks, it can cross that level again. Okay, so again going sideways, nothing much happening. For lump sum, it's better to keep during breakout. It's up to you, Dinesh. I don't really have any saying on that. You have to see what is your opinion about adding. You want to add keep a GTD adder. You want to add during consolidations. Up to you. I think most of the setups now. You need to take a call and see when you want to add. Now, personally, if you ask me, for me, it's always breakouts or pullbacks at both points. But for pullbacks, I need a lot of signals to confirm that's a strong pullback, and it will reverse from there. Right? Only then I go and add in pullbacks. Okay. Avinash, Sterling Tools. This doesn't look really good. It's probably doing a retest, right? So it might reverse this week. Okay, so it's just doing a retest. This trend line is here. The stock, doesn't move much strong, right? It's just going sideways consolidation for many months. In fact, the stock has been consolidating a long time, right? So it's not really great stock, but I think it has tried to give a breakout here around the zone. It couldn't break out, right? But it's a good time to add for a positional trade. So your stop loss can be around 180 levels. You can probably look for targets of 250, and this might probably head higher from here. Okay, so that's my view. Kotak Bank is looking good, Rohit. So it's around all-time high. You see, it's just consolidating around all-time high, right? So it does look good. You can take a trade here. Your stop loss can be 1980 if you're aggressive, but if you want to add really, then go add about 2050. Okay, CDSL. It's just sideways consolidation, right? So probably it can reverse again. I remember we told this here, right? Last time I covered this was here or somewhere here. I don't know exactly. But again, it's just doing a retest. Good time to add again. Your stop loss for this can be 1110. Okay. I'm just checking any more. I don't have much time really. I think we are overshot of 45 minutes. Yeah. So Shanmu is asking about IEX. IEX also. Yeah, IEX is just retesting probably this trend line, right? So if you see, it's right around this trend line on early charts. If you go around there, it's probably breaking down, right? So, but if you're holding this from investment perspective, nothing to worry. Keep a stop around 538, or if you're positioning it, keep a stop around 560 odd. It can probably jump back again, right? These are very steep trend lines. They're not reliable. You should also know which trend lines are reliable and which are not reliable. So probably this can reverse tomorrow or day after, and probably head higher. But again, keep a stop always around 565 if you're a positional trader. For investor, probably around 530, or if investor, just wait for some more time and wait for a strong consolidation weekly charts, and then probably you can trade your stop loss. Okay, so it depends on you how you want to do it. Okay, so that's my view on IEX. I think I've covered all the questions. Now, people who have asked more than 2 questions, I'm sorry, I really don't have the time. We've also already covered 15 minutes, but probably do one thing. Next session, keep posting your questions again. I'll try to answer them. And please consider there are a lot of people who join us, around 30 people who join us. And let's give everyone an opportunity to have their questions answered. So try to keep your stocks to 2 per person. Okay, and then we can take up your questions. Suman is asking, have you gone to any beach? Yes, maybe that's why. I see, maybe you're looking at me to stand. Yeah, probably, yeah. But yeah, so let's keep it to 2 stocks per person, and probably that will help me cover a lot of questions from a lot of people. And don't ask more than 2 questions. That's my kind advice, so that we have this session as a very fruitful session for all of you. We have a session every day during the weekdays. So come back every day and ask your questions. Even if you ask 2 stocks a day, answer 10 stocks for you in a week, right? That's more than enough for your portfolio. I hope you understand that. But before I close off, I hope you enjoy the newsletter. If you have liked the newsletter, try to forward to at least one of your friends. That would be really helpful in terms for them as well, for me as well, more subscribers for me as well. So remember, the newsletter has a lot of articles which will help you understand, and every week you just need to spend probably 1 hour to understand the articles I cover, and slowly and steadily you will start getting a lot of information, right? So it's similar to how I've been building this. It's just 1 hour every week. When I write this article, it takes 1 hour to write me one article probably, and a few hours for the newsletter more probably, but I've got this website. Now, even if you're interested to learn about stocks, that's also the same thing you have to do. Spend 1 hour every weekend and read my newsletter, read the articles, go through the stocks, and you will also quickly learn and improve your trading and investing journey. And also, don't forget to like this video before you drop off. I see a lot of you already liking the video, 19 likes. Thanks for that. And don't forget to share this video with your friends. And also this week, we will post the newsletter stocks video, my analysis, through a video so that you understand how I analyze the stocks and how I select them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. People who have had a lot of quest stocks, I'll see you again tomorrow evening as usual at 11 o'clock. Okay. So until then, take care, stay safe, and always trade with risk in place. Okay. Thank you and have a good Sunday evening.